Folks, this is an apology video, but don't worry, it's not like your typical YouTuber apology video. I haven't done anything that heinous. It's just that the last two videos I uploaded yesterday, there was something wrong with the screen sharing. So the whole time I'm like reading these posts thinking that I'm sharing them with you so you can follow along, and it was on something completely different. So I'm very sorry about that. It was really unfortunate because we reviewed 2 dating profiles yesterday as well. But hopefully the episode still made sense, but it wasn't the best experience for you as viewers, I'm sure. So I decided to come on and do one more video this weekend, just one, okay, just to make up for the ones yesterday. So yesterday we looked at r/relationships and r/dating over 30. Did you know there is also r/relationship advice? I don't think I've looked at this one with you before, so let's go ahead and get stuck in. Just from the titles, I feel like there may be a theme. Let's see if you can figure it out, but let's take a look at the first one. So, my husband, 26-year-old male, thinks I, 24-year-old female, am being petty over a ring. Backstory. I wanted a gold solitaire ring and hinted that to my husband on multiple occasions. Don't hint, just say it. He proposed with a silver diamond band ring with a centre stone and halo. I later realised it is so his mum's personality. So I guess you mean it's more his mum's kind of thing, kind of style than yours. My mother-in-law got a ring similar to mine around the time my husband proposed to me and shows everyone her ring when the moment was for me and my husband. Okay, who got her that ring? Because I'm thinking, like, if the husband got them both a similar ring at the same time, that would be really weird. But then if the mother-in-law just like happens to have got a ring from somebody else, like, why shouldn't she enjoy it, you know? But anyway, got a similar ring around the time my husband proposed to me and shows everyone a ring when the moment was for me and my husband. I married her favourite son. She has 3 and he is a middle child, and she spoils them rotten. She wears it on her right hand until about 2 weekends ago it was on her left hand. Note she has a wedding band and a huge engagement ring. My feelings are hurt because my husband went ring shopping for me and chose something for his mum's approval. He did not keep my dream ring in mind. My husband calls me petty and says I'm being ridiculous. Am I being petty? Girl, your story is really confusing. You say he's your husband. Are you already married to him? He proposed to you with this ring. How long ago was that? And you're still feeling some type of way about it? And just because it's similar to the mum's and like, girl, I mean, would it still bother you if the mum or the mother-in-law didn't also get a ring, or if the ring wasn't so similar? Like, to me, it doesn't make sense that your partner would choose a ring that his mum likes for you just to make sure that his mum likes it, like it's got nothing to do with his mum. I'm totally confused about this, to be honest. So yeah, I mean, I think again the whole thing about hinting about the type of ring that you want, I think that's silly. I think just tell them the kind of ring that you want, because I'm presuming you don't want to be unhappy with this ring for the rest of your life, the rest of the relationship, whatever. And I personally, and maybe this is controversial, but I personally don't see anything wrong with, and I've never been in this situation, but I don't see anything wrong with like having the proposal and presumably saying yes. Let me fix this. Sorry for the rustling. Presumably saying yes, and then like the day after or a couple of days after be like, actually, I think I would prefer a different ring. Is that okay? Can we go and pick one out together? Because again, you kind of have to live with this for the rest of your life, for the rest of the relationship. And if you don't like it, or if it's not something that you're completely happy with, you know, I think that your partner should be understanding of that. I can understand how feelings might be hurt, so you need to do it in a nice way. But also, again, as I say, I'm not into this whole hinting thing. Like, don't hint, just say like, if I was to ever get engaged, this is the type of ring I would want, or do you know what I mean? And hey, if he doesn't pick up on those hints, then yeah, you should have told him. Or maybe he wasn't that fussed and still thinks this one is nice. But yeah, sounds as if the whole situation with the mother-in-law and whatnot does seem a bit too much like you're reading too much into it. I don't know if petty is the right word, but I do think you're definitely making more of a deal of it than what it actually is. Next one. Father, 72-year-old male, confessed his affair to me, a 45-year-old male, on his deathbed. Do I tell my mother? So my father recently passed away from health problems, and he had one last request of me, which he asked me to handle with discretion. When he died, there was someone he wanted me to call and inform, and he hoped I could keep it between us. I got as much of the story as he was willing to tell me. He was an officer in the military and spent a year deployed in Korea. When my sister and I were kids back in the States with my mum and her grandparents, he met a woman there. She was the daughter of a wealthy family. They met through a social circle and eventually fell in love. Oh my God. My father told me that while he cared deeply for my mother, Jiyeon was the actual love of his life. He regretted every day he wasn't with her. Oh my God, why did you not then break up with your wife and go and be with this person instead of having an affair? Apparently, as his time there was ending, he had plans to divorce the mum and be with her, but he ultimately decided to break off the affair for the sake of my sister and I. He's never told a soul until now. Okay, so sounds as if he wasn't having an affair all this time. He did break it off and go back to his wife. I went to the toolbox in the garage he told me about, and sure enough, there were some old Polaroids, she was indeed quite the looker, with writing/dates and some contract. I'm guessing that's supposed to be contact information. I reached out and told her my father had died. She is retired from a long career and had a family of her own now. She said that while she truly loved my father, they were young and stupid, and she deeply regretted bringing this burden to me and my family. Okay, so she obviously feels very differently about the situation. She apologised, sincerely thanked me for telling her, and wished me well. This may sound strange, but this conversation was a nice form of closure for me. Someone who never felt like I knew my dad on a personal level very well. It wasn't easy for me to do, but I felt it was important for me to carry out his last wish. He had done everything for me in life. The next part, not telling anyone else, including my mum, I feel very conflicted about. I'm very sad from the loss of my father and want to honour his wish, but I truly feel like my mother and sister have a right to know. But also, part of me doesn't want to tarnish his image and bring my mother unnecessary sadness at this point in her life. What should I do? Should I tell them? How would you go about this? TLDR, father confessed his affair on his deathbed, but didn't want me to tell anyone else, but I feel the need to tell my family about it. Ooh. Okay, so just to clarify again, oh, my mic keeps falling down. I'm sorry. Just to clarify, so the father was serving in Korea, had an affair with a woman over there, and thought, like, she's the fucking love of my life, I want to be with her forever. Then changed his mind and decided to stay with his wife and kids. But years and years later, he's still thinking about her and he regrets not being with her every single day. Son calls up this woman, be like, hey, my dad died and he wanted you to know. And she's like, yeah, we were young and stupid. I'm so sorry that happened. So she's obviously not feeling the same way. She's not feeling like, oh, he was the love of my life or anything like that. The dad asks OP not to tell anybody, but OP's like, I feel like I should. And I kind of feel like you should too, to be honest. I mean, like, on the one hand, it's like you don't want to, like, it's not your secret to tell. But on the other hand, like, the dad's not around anymore to confess himself. Because what I would do, like, ideally, like, say the father was, like, still alive and I had, like, found out somehow that he was having an affair, that he'd had an affair, I would be like, you tell her or I'm going to tell her. Do you know what I mean? I would put it to him, like, it's your responsibility to do the thing. And if you're, like, too whatever to do it, then fucking too bad. I'll tell them. You know, but obviously that's not an option here. It is complicated because I'm assuming that the mother/wife and the sister are going to be, like, grieving for the dead father/husband at this point. So yeah, understand that you don't want to cause them any more unnecessary hurt and pain, but at the same time, just because you're the one that tells them doesn't mean you're the one causing the hurt and the pain. It was the father that caused the hurt and the pain. It's just like that's been delayed because they didn't know until now. But I think that just because someone has passed away doesn't mean that you have to put them on this pedestal and act as if like they were the best person in the world when they weren't, you know, or act like they never done anything wrong in their lives when actually they have. So I would tell them. As for when to tell them, I mean, I wouldn't do it like the day he died, but I would probably want to do it before the funeral, to be honest. I'm not sure why, like that seems somewhat arbitrary, but I just feel like, you know, I feel like a funeral or a wake is like a place to get some sort of like closure, some time to, you know, remember this person and kind of say goodbye to them. And I feel like if you're doing all that, not knowing what really happened and what that person like really did during their life and what they did to you, then it somehow would make me feel like stupid. It made me feel worse. It made me feel like I can't believe that here I am like crying over this person who fucking cheated on me and didn't even, you know, tell me about it. It doesn't mean that, you know, that I wouldn't still like go to the funeral and, you know, still pay my respects or whatever, but like at least I would be doing it with a more realistic vision of who this person is, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? What would you do? What would you do in that situation? Next one. My husband, 30-year-old male, cheated on me, 30-year-old female, because he was unhappy with my looks. So this is my first post. My husband and I have been together for 10 years. We're married for 5 with 2 boys. Our marriage and relationship hasn't been perfect. Throughout our marriage, he had 3 affairs. Oh, that's not good. One being right before the wedding. Fuck. I admit I tried everything to make him happy even after the affairs, but it felt like he was never satisfied. I know how I sound, but after him struggling to get over this last AP? What's AP? But after him struggling to get over this last AP. Anyway, I asked what the real problem was. He told me that he started to become unattracted to me. He said I had gained a lot of weight and stopped really doing anything to make myself look desirable. I admit that I fell into a depression with our marital issues and affairs and gained weight. I guess I just didn't realise how out of control it got. I just need to know where to start and if anyone lost weight while depressed. Also, how to get over my failed marriage. Thoughts? Wait, so are you breaking up with him or not? Because you call it a failed marriage. So to me, that would be like, okay, it's a disaster, it's in the bin. But he's already had 3 affairs and you didn't leave him. So I'm kind of confused at this. I feel like there's quite a few things to unpack here. I mean, I'm kind of surprised that the question isn't should I leave him, and it's about how do I lose weight. Let's take things one at a time, okay? I mean, if he was cheating on you even before you, like right before the wedding, if he was already cheating on you then, and you've only gained weight recently because of their depression, then I'm not buying that that's the whole reason why he's cheating on you. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just, like, 3 times, do you know what I mean? And one right before the wedding, and this has been over 10 years. Like, it sounds as if the weight gain has just been a recent thing. So that's one thing. I don't think this is the whole reason that he's cheating on you. Taking into account that what he has said, so maybe it's not the whole reason, but one reason is the way that OP looks. The weight gain, how attractive or not that the husband finds them, her. It's a situation that is not unfamiliar to me, let's say. Like, I have either been in this situation or I've had people tell me about this situation and also not do good things. And I'm that way where, I mean, if you've watched my channel before, you know I'm always like, you know, honesty is the best policy. And if that really is, you know, a big cause of the issues, then yes, I think you should be honest about it. As much as it sucks, as shitty as it is, if that's the facts of the situation, then tell the facts of the situation. You can do it in a way that's not like mean. And as I said before, like, people have preferences and you can't help who you are not attracted to. But I do think it's a bit of a fucking slap in the face to like who she is on the inside, like her personality. Do you know what I mean? Like, does any of that mean anything to you? And the fact that you've been together for 10 years, have 2 kids together, like, does that even matter? Or is it just like, as soon as you let yourself go a little bit, I'm not going to be attracted to you anymore and I'm going to like go around cheating on you all the time? Do you know what I mean? That's not cool. That's not okay. From OP asking about losing weight, I'm kind of wondering, are you asking about how to lose weight because you want to lose weight for yourself and because you're not happy with the way that you look and you would like to go back to, you know, having a slimmer figure? Or are you only asking about it because you want your husband to be attracted to you again? Because again, I don't think that's the whole issue personally. And how do you get over your failed marriage? It depends whether you're actually staying together or you're breaking up with him. Those are my thoughts. Honestly, the only question you asked is thoughts. So those are my thoughts, not advice exactly. I mean, maybe try getting into couples therapy. You know, maybe that would help if you want to make it work. But if you don't want to make it work, like, I would totally understand. And yeah, losing weight while depressed. I mean, depression is a major risk factor for weight gain and obesity, as are most of the medications associated with depression and treating it. So it is hard. It probably still can be done. But I think while you have other things going on and the fact that you are depressed, I don't think that it would be fair to put that pressure on yourself to be like, I must lose weight, I have to lose weight, whatever the reason is that you want to do it. I would say give yourself like a little bit of space and kindness and figure out what it is that you actually want. Yeah? Does that sound reasonable? Okay. Next one. Ooh! My OP is a 25-year-old female and their 25-year-old male boyfriend accidentally slapped them. How do you accidentally slap someone? So for a little backstory, I recently found out that I'm pregnant. That makes it sound even worse. I found out when I was only a few weeks along, and quitting drinking and smoking all of a sudden has been difficult for me. Last night, my boyfriend and I were watching TV and I was laying down. He heard something that he thought was me hitting his vape. He sat up quickly and slapped me in the face. That doesn't sound like an accident to me. Like, I have like a real thing, like because of my history, I have a real thing about people hitting in the face. That to me is like, I mean, it's bad enough to like hit someone, but do you know what I mean? Like if you're like in jest, like punching them on the arm or something, you know, like slapping, even if it's like as a little joke and lightly and whatever, that to me is not funny. I'm very sensitive about that. And this does not sound like an accident. So he didn't hit me hard, but it was the way you might swat a child's hand when they go to touch something they shouldn't. He has a young child but doesn't hit him. I was so surprised and just started crying. I'm not surprised. He kept apologising over and over and trying to comfort me. He said he didn't really mean to and thought I was hurting our baby. I don't know if this is relevant or I'm just making excuses, but he has told me that his ex was abusive towards him and it's something he's sensitive about. Yeah, but then why is he hitting you then? I never thought he would put his hands on me in any way, and this has never happened to me before. I feel betrayed in a way, and I feel a little bit scared. I just don't know what to do. Is this something people can work through? Can anyone really hit someone by accident? Edit, everyone's really caught up on the word accident. Okay, I was shaking as I wrote this, and obviously this is coming from my point of view and feelings. It's hard to remember exactly what was said in that moment. I was so overwhelmed. He did say something more like it was instinctual. That being said, I appreciate everyone pointing out how it being accidental or instinctual, the reaction is a red flag. I've talked to someone and I am going to end things. Really, thank you everyone who left input. Maybe I sound stupid and naive. I just never thought this would happen. Babe, I feel for you, honestly. I mean, it's good that, you know, there's 800 comments on this, so it's good that they already got advice and that they've decided what to do. Sounds like they've kind of made their peace with the decision, that they're comfortable with it, which is good. But obviously, if you're going to have the baby, then presumably this guy is still always going to be in your life. So what I mean by that is just like, continue to be careful and cautious. You know what I mean? Like, sounds like you're doing the right thing for you in terms of ending things. Which is good and I support that. You know, you don't want to be in a relationship with someone that makes you feel scared, even if it was like just one incident or whatever you want to do to not justify it, but kind of make it smaller. Sounds like this is the right decision for OP. But yeah, as I say, just remain cautious of this person and still be careful, given that they're probably still going to be in your life because of the baby. But yeah, that's bad. Don't hit people. And for me, it's like especially not in the face. It just seems so much worse to me for some reason. I don't know. As I say, I think it's part of like because of my history and past trauma, but let me know what you think. Like, is it especially bad in the face? I think it is. Next one. I, 35-year-old male, found out that my girlfriend, 30-year-old female, cheated on me after being together for 10 years and just before I wanted to propose. What do I do? Hi everyone, just a bit of clarity. She received a call from a guy that made me feel off, like something is wrong. I confronted her about it a day later as I wanted to think through my feelings first. Am I just jealous, etc. We have been together for almost 10 years and I've never felt this way before. When we spoke, she promised there was nothing between them. He's just someone she met through work. She specifically mentioned he only phones her whenever him and friends want to visit her place of work, as she's in tourism. I felt things were off though and continued to ask. She then admitted they texted, but nothing of an inappropriate nature. I asked why she hid it from me and she said she was afraid I would think she's busy with cheating as he is a guy. She swore on her mother's life that nothing happened. I refused to believe it as I had an off feeling still. This morning while at my uncle's funeral, I got a text from her admitting she kissed him. That is so inappropriate. Why would you wait until your partner is at a fucking funeral to tell them that you cheated on them via text? That's not cool. I believe it was more. I'm at a loss for words and feel empty, thus turning to internet strangers for guidance. Her sister sent me a screenshot of her saying she said it because I wanted to hear it. Her sister sent me a screenshot of her saying that she said it because I wanted to hear it. As in, I wasn't going to tell you, but since you asked, or I actually didn't, but that's all you wanted to hear, so that's why I said, like, Either way, I'm not convinced. Thoughts on what the best way is to handle this? Edit, I would also like to add, we have been living together for the past 3 years, as it's closer to both her and my work, and I was saving for the wedding as well as a down payment on our house. Not trying to be the victim of firm sympathy, just adding some context as to why just leaving and walking away is not possible at this exact moment. Also, what do I do with the ring? I got it custom made for her. Okay, so boyfriend was about to propose. They've been together for 10 years. He goes to a funeral and then she's like, by the way, I cheated on you. I mean, just because you live together and you're saving up for a wedding and a house doesn't mean that you can't break up with them. It kind of sounds like you're trying to give yourself reason not to break up with them. Like, usually in these kind of posts, it's like, oh, I love them so much. It was just one time. I really want to get over this. How can we rebuild the relationship or whatever? But I don't see any of that here. All I see is, oh, but I already had plans, so I can't cancel my plans. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, like, it's obviously unrealistic to expect you to just pack your bags and leave today, but it's like people can live together and then break up. Living together doesn't mean that you're together forever, and you're only saving for the wedding and the down payment on the house. You haven't like had the wedding and bought the house already. Again, even if you had, it doesn't mean that you can't still break up, because it sounds as if that's what you're leaning towards. Honestly, it sounds as if you're just giving yourself like practical reasons not to, because it's easier for you to get to work and whatever the situation may be. But yeah, I honestly think that, I mean, it's a shitty thing to cheat on someone for a start. It's shitty to lie about it, and then to wait until the person is at a fucking funeral and then to text them, yeah, I did cheat on you. Like, this person doesn't sound very considerate, to say the least. I mean, if you are going to cheat and then lie about it, when you decide to come clean, like, do it in person and not on the day of a fucking funeral. I feel like this is just basic. How do you handle it? You can return the engagement ring, I'm sure. Like, you got it custom made, I think. I mean, I don't know how these things work, but I'm guessing there's still some sort of return policy on it. Like, maybe you'll have to, like, pay a bit extra or, like, get a lower refund because it was custom made, especially if it was engraved, for example. You might need to pay an extra fee to have the inscription taken away, or, you know, like, whatever the case may be. But, yeah, I'm guessing you should be able to do something with it, you know, and if there's gems, you can melt it down for the gems, you melt it down for the gold, whatever. Like, I'm sure there's something you can do with it. But yeah, doesn't seem to me like you want to stay, honestly. Next one. Similar theme. Have you figured it out yet? I, 31-year-old male, found my wife, 33-year-old female, sexting her ex-boyfriend, and I can't get over it. So they've been also together for 10 years. Wow, all these people together for 10 years. Married for 7. We have 2 beautiful children, a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old. She was a stay-at-home mother for a while, but recently started working. I found out she was messaging her ex really by luck. I was using the office computer at home when I accidentally clicked on her profile. I got up and got a drink while it loaded. When I came back, there was a few notifications from a contact with her sister's name. I thought this was odd, so I clicked on it. She was messaging her ex-boyfriend from her college days. Only reason I know his name is because I was actually in one of the same classes that they took. He was just talking about their sex back in the day, inappropriate. I feel like this is a real guy's thing to do. I was saying that to my friend the other day. I feel like guys, and maybe it's just because I have more experience with guys than with, you know, women or non-binary people, but I feel like guys always want to reminisce on when you were somehow physically involved with one another. Like, doesn't matter how long it's been or what your situation is now, like what relationships you're in now, they always want to reminisce about those other times. Like, that's all they want to talk about, and I just think that's really shitty. Like, it's very clear that you just want to get me into a situation where I'm talking to you about that again, and then that, you know, one thing leads to another, and I don't think that's okay. But anyway, he was just talking about their sex back in the day and how amazing it was, and asking for pictures. So he was also asking for pictures, like clearly wanting to spark something up. She wasn't talking sex back, but agreeing and was entertaining the subject, so walking a thin line. I was immediately pissed off because years prior, I told her to cut contact with him due to him cheating on her and being emotionally abusive to her, always gaslighting her. Whilst I understand your reason, I don't think another person has the right to tell somebody else who they can and cannot talk to. I understand your reason, but you can't just be like, I told her to cut contact, so she better fucking do it. Like, she said she did and told me not to worry about it. I waited till she got home before I confronted her. I threatened divorce and she didn't deny anything but begged me not to leave her. When I told her I was set on leaving, she tried to turn it against me. I said nothing and didn't speak to her in exception of our kids. I didn't speak to her in exception of our kids for almost 3 weeks. I'm guessing he means like I didn't talk to her about anything except for the kids for almost 3 weeks. During this time, she kept begging and apologising. I was betrayed. She didn't physically cheat, but emotionally, and she was hiding him, so he was there to stay. After taking advice from a few friends, they told me to stick around, but just to keep my eyes open. We talked it out. I told her I didn't trust her and sternly told her if I were to find her doing anything remotely similar, she would get no warning and be hit with divorce papers. I feel like that's very strong, and I'm kind of like, good for you, to be honest. Like, be decisive. I'm into it. She agreed, and ever since, we don't argue or anything. I didn't necessarily forgive her, but we're on good terms. I always have that feeling in my chest she'll do it again. I don't know if I can move past it. I want to know every single detail of how they started talking and why they started talking. I'm afraid to bring it up again. It's been well over 6 months. Any advice? I'm going to have to reread a little bit of this because I don't know, honestly, if I would classify that as sexting. Are you with me? Let me explain, right? Well, let's find where it is. So he was talking about their sex back in the day, how amazing it was, and he was the one asking for pictures. She didn't talk sex back, but she did agree that it was, but she was agreeing that it was good somehow, and she was entertaining the subject, so she did not shut it down. So she wasn't sexting back, but she wasn't telling him to stop, and she was kind of letting him do what he was gonna do, sounds like. I mean, maybe it's just a technicality. I wouldn't necessarily see that as her sexting, but I do still understand that at the end of the day, like emotionally, it seems like she was into it, and that already is too much for you. It's too far. I completely get that. I understand and respect that. I'm kind of surprised that the friends are telling you to stick around. To me, it's kind of like, well, what do you want to do? You know, like I've been in situations where, you know, someone has told me that their partner's cheating on them and what do they do and all the rest of it. And, you know, that their friends were already telling them like, oh, you should leave. Like, that's terrible. Like, hate him and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, well, what do you want to do? How do you feel? Because I think that's the most important thing at the end of the day, you know, like, are you still wanting to be in a relationship with this person? Do you think that you can be in a relationship with this person? And it sounds as if OP is stuck around and things seem okay so far. It seems like this hasn't happened again, but it's been 6 months and it sounds like OP is still feeling pretty paranoid about it. So any advice? I would definitely talk to the wife about it. My mic keeps falling down. I would definitely talk to the wife about it and just be like, look, I know it was like 6 months ago and it seems like nothing has happened, but this is still on my mind. It's still weighing on me. I still feel like I can't trust you, or whatever the case may be. Don't know what's going to come out of that situation, but again, I feel like it's good just to put your cards on the table and be honest and be like, look, I know it's been 6 months, but I still feel some type of way, and that means something to me, you know? And I don't know if you can maybe go into like a couples therapy or whatever, try and rebuild the trust. Maybe she says for a while, you know, okay, well, you know, if you want, you can have access to my messages and stuff just to ease your mind, you know, for a while, and then we'll see if that helps, if that makes things, you know, a little bit better. Or maybe it is just like something that you can't get past and you decide to amicably split. But I definitely feel like you should talk about it either way. Cool. I just have one left for us. OP's 29-year-old female and their best friend, 30-year-old female, of 10 years again. Why is everything 10 years? That's so weird. Has been distancing herself. She's now pregnant. What do I do? So my best friend, me and my best friend have been best friends for 10 years. We met in undergrad and followed each other to law school, and now we're both lawyers at the same firm. We were so close that my ex and I actually introduced her to her current boyfriend, who's my ex's best friend. So they were like two best friends groups dating each other. Unfortunately, this is kind of where things went wrong. So my ex and I didn't make it. I ended up ending the relationship with him because he was pretty awful to me. My friend's distancing happened around this time, about 2 years ago. It started small, so she would stop telling me about fights between her and her boyfriend and would stop asking for advice. Then it became bigger, like she started hanging out with her boyfriend and his best friend, my ex, without me. It was pretty clear to me from this point that she was keeping her boyfriend and I separate. It also began to feel like my ex was chosen over me. I didn't say anything because I chalked it up to overthinking. I'm guessing by this time he was actually your ex. Fast forward 2 years, which was about 2 months ago, she tells me nonchalantly that she's moving in with her boyfriend. I was so sad and confronted her, saying that I couldn't believe I was finding out in such a casual manner. What do you expect, a fucking party? She told you, it's not like you found out from someone else. Why are you sad? I don't get it. She apologised, said she's just been busy and she would do better. I don't think she needs to apologise, it's her life. She doesn't have to tell anybody about her life. About 2 weeks later, she told me she was pregnant and sought my input. I was so happy to be there for her and included. I told her that I would support any decision that she made and that I was always a phone call away. 3 weeks later, I texted her almost every day to ask her how she was doing, if she needed my help with anything, etc. At the end of the 3 weeks, I decided to call her to see how she was doing. She then tells me that she decided to keep the baby 2 weeks ago and that everyone is very happy and everyone knows. This one really hurt. That does seem a bit odd to me if you were straight off the bat, I'm thinking texting her every day for 3 weeks, stop badgering the woman, give her some fucking space. But then you've been texting for the last 3 weeks and 2 weeks ago she already made her decision and she's not bothered to tell you that. That does seem a little bit unfair because OP is clearly concerned about her and trying to support and help her. So the friend then not being like, oh, it's okay, we've made our decision, this is what we're going to do, feels a bit inconsiderate. This one really hurt. I confronted her again and she assured me that not telling me 2 weeks ago was not personal and that she didn't tell me because it didn't feel real and that she would do better with keeping me in the loop. A couple of days ago, she had an intimate gender reveal party, which was supposed to be family only, so I was not invited. However, my ex was invited last minute, apparently. At this point, this would be the third conversation in 2 months about this. As of yet, I have not had a conversation about the gender reveal. Writing all this out definitely makes it seem like this friendship is over. However, she has assured me numerous times that it's not. Half of me wants to pull back and match her effort and energy, which would look like a text message and dinner every 3 months. And the other half of me says to continue putting in the effort because she's now pregnant for the first time and needs a friend now more than ever. She only has about 2 good friends in her life. I was one of them. Not sure what to do. Please help. Edit. She's always been a good friend to me in the past and I have no doubt that if I needed her for something right now, she would be there for me. This seems like a mix of you taking things too personally and then also the friend like maybe not being so considerate. It definitely does sound like she's trying to distance herself from you. My guess would be that for whatever reason, when you and your ex broke up, they did choose him over you. Sorry, that's how it sounds. Whether that's because the two guys had like a stronger, closer relationship or they were more stubborn, or because actually boyfriend of the friend wasn't really that keen on OP in the first place, or OP's ex was bad-mouthing her, who knows, but for whatever reason, they definitely seem to have picked him over you. To me, we've talked about this before, I think that's a really shitty thing to do. Like, sure, if it's uncomfortable to see them together at the same time, hang out separately, or if it's at something like a gender reveal party where it's not even about them, then let them be adults about the situation and still be civil to each other, or just not be in a situation where they have to actually directly talk to one another. Do you know what I mean? It's easy enough. So she's definitely distancing herself from you. You've already tried by, like, again, texting her every day for 3 weeks, which to me is hashtag too much. But whatever, maybe that's what you used to do. Maybe that's what used to seem correct and nice. But the way she's responded 2 weeks later, still not telling you that she's made a decision and saying that everyone knows, but it just didn't seem real and that's why I didn't tell you, but apparently everyone else knows. I'm not buying it, to be honest. And I think that if a so-called friend is, for whatever reason, no longer putting in that same amount of effort, you've tried to address the situation, they don't seem to be being completely honest about it or opening up to you about what's really going on, then I would say, yeah, there's no point in you continuing to put in all that effort and having it being so unbalanced to the point where maybe even they're trying to get rid of you, but they're not honest enough just to say that and they're annoyed by your efforts. Do you know what I mean? Because when people start to distance themselves, to me, there's 2 possibilities. There's one, they don't want to be friends with you anymore, which is shitty. Or 2, someone in their life, perhaps a partner, is manipulating the situation and maybe actually they've got stuff going on that's not so bad, that's not so good, and they actually need more support than usual. And it's hard to figure out which is which. But in this scenario, it sounds like she just doesn't want to be at least as close a friend with you anymore. But it doesn't mean you have to cut her off. You know, we've talked about this before, like, people grow apart. There's different levels of friendship and closeness. You don't have to cut this person off, especially as you work together in the same office. So I would say just take a little bit of a step back, see what she does. You know, if she does improve, if things do get better, great. But if they don't, then don't waste your time and energy in someone who's not willing to give back the same. Because it's all about give and take. Do you know what I mean? There needs to be a balance there. I talked about this with a friend recently. Like, it can't just be a one-sided thing. That's not cool. It doesn't make you feel good. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, that's what I think you should do. Just take a step back, see what she does, and reciprocate, whether that means doing more or doing less. There we go, that's my advice for the day. How did you find that? I think it was super weird that like almost every post was something to do with like being 10 years in this relationship. That was a super weird coincidence. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Thank you for joining me, and I do hope that it's a sufficient apology for the last 2 videos yesterday. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you again next time. Bye bye, bye bye.